We are live. It's that time of year once again. WWE Crown Jewel is taking place this Saturday. Preview and predictions here for 2022. I've got two fantastic guests joining me as well. We've got lots of matches to discuss, including one that's been broke by WWE in the last 30 minutes. So that's been announced and more. But that match will be announced straight after this lineup here of what else we'll be discussing. Had my air guitar out for that one. And the breaking news, of course, we've got the women's tag team titles that have been added to the lineup as well. Alexa Bliss and Asuka will be taking on Damage Control in a rematch from Monday Night Raw. Of course, Alexa Bliss and Asuka winning the women's tag team championships last night. And of course, they'll be defending them again in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So without further ado, let's get our special guests in here today, starting off with the one, the only, Jonesy Chats Wrestling, someone that loves our prediction stream. Jonesy, how are you doing? Are you hyped for Crown Jewel?
Fantastic. Great to be here. Really excited for this pay-per-view this coming Saturday even. So it's the Sunday pay-per-views, but no, great to be here, Steve. Thank you for having me on your channel. Hope you're well, mate.
I'm very well indeed. In fact, I'm feeling quite oozy, if I'm being quite honest with you. Hopefully, oozy enough. In fact, the Usos will be the second match we'll be talking about during this stream. And Jonesy is not on his own. Literally, both of these guys are part of the furniture these days when it comes to predictions here on SCW, a good old friend of the channel, and supporting the Mighty Gooners as well. The Arsenal is NX Steve. How are you doing?
I'm very good, Steve. Thank you for having me on once again. It's always fun to be on this channel as usual. I look forward to talking about this premium live event coming up this Saturday.
Absolutely. There is lots to dive into, many matches, as we say. Before we get started and going into the predictions itself, NX Steve, I'll start with you. How much are you looking forward to this show on a scale of 1 to 10? What match are you most looking forward to?
I think obviously it's got to be Bobby Lashley. It's the main focal of this pay-per-view or premium live event. I think that's what everyone's gassed about. It's like first time ever. Depending on how it's booked, this could be a really good match and a really good contender. And I just hope it doesn't under-deliver because, like so many before these Saudi Arabia shows, I felt they've not personally delivered on what they're supposed to be. But I'm confident, Triple H is in charge. So, you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to it.
I'm quite looking forward to it as well. Jones, you said you were quite looking forward to this show. On the matches then, at scale of 1 to 10, what are you looking forward to most seeing?
I think Bayley and Bianca, I think we've seen them quite a lot recently, but they can do some fantastic work. The last woman standing is an interesting stipulation. So looking forward to seeing how that pays off. I'm hoping justice will be done on this pay-per-view, hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, before we go into it, I'll just give you my match I'm most looking forward to. It is Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. It's the reason I put it at the main event of this stream. I couldn't wait to go into some of the attraction matches to kick things off today. But just before we do go into that, I would just quickly say hello to Elijah, who's in house with many fire emojis there for you. He's obviously ecstatic for the show this Saturday. We got Kate Science says, what's going on, Steve's? And as well, we're saying, what's going on, Jonesy, as well. C Nation has got a couple of questions in the chat as well. C Nation, we will come to those questions, my friend. In the meantime, though, we will stick things on point for now. But when it comes to the right time, we will answer those questions for you. And it wouldn't be a stream without Richard Rhodes in the house, just to say he thinks Bianca, Alexa, and Asuka will keep those championships. And of course, Dakota Kai will join Judgment Day one day. I hope it will happen for you. But without further ado, then let's get straight into it. Let's dive in with what will be the main event of this show. Of course, it'll be for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns taking on Logan Paul. Arguably, it's a big attraction match. That's what this is all about. It's not about the true number one contender. Logan Paul's had 2 matches in WWE, but at the same time, that sort of big YouTube outside attraction can bring some casuals in. I think Tino's time, who was on the stream with me recently, actually had a very good point as well, said that with the fact that it's going to be on earlier in the day, for us in the UK, 4 p.m., I believe it would be midday for those Eastern time, there'll be a whole range of audience that'll be able to watch this, perhaps even younger viewers that wouldn't usually be into seeing a Logan Paul. So this might attract heavy numbers to watch this match alone. Jonesy, what are your thoughts of the idea of the attraction, Logan Paul being in this spot?
I think it's a clever move from WWE. You're getting the people that are not interested in to watch a pay-per-view. Sensible addition. He's a great worker, not had many matches, as you said, but I think in ring, this will be fine. This is just a filler match. It does what it needs to do. Roman needs a title defense. This does it. This gets the non-wrestling fans in. Yeah, I think this will be all right. I've not got any high hopes for it, but I think it'll be okay, really.
Absolutely. And would you say the same, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at this is just purely for social media and all this kind of stuff. It's to draw in the numbers. It's to get eyes on the product and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm not too confident that it will be the best match on the card. But like I said, I think it's just there for the sake of drawing eyes and bringing up more eyes to the product and selling more. As though people still do buy premium live events on pay-per-view, or do you know what I mean, buy them through box office. So I think that's purely what it's for.
Absolutely. Eyes on the prize, I think, is what WWE is looking for here. And, of course, Logan Paul's had 2 matches up to this point. Of course, WrestleMania, a tag match with The Miz. I think he impressed quite a few people. They had a singles match against The Miz earlier this year at SummerSlam. Of course, he did a great table spot outside as well. Thought he had a great showing at that show. Jonesy, when it comes to the storyline here, obviously, Roman is the heavy favorite. It's been presented as the heavy favorite. But Logan Paul, it's about that one lucky punch. If he can land that one lucky punch, maybe, just maybe, he could win the championship. Now, personally, for me, I'm going to give my prediction out early. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that could be a good narrative in the match. If Roman dominates, Logan gets a comeback, hits that one lucky punch, that sort of near fall, that 2 count with, of course, the people that will be in Riyadh as well. I think they'll get a big reaction. Then you can go to the go-home angle with a spear, guillotine, whatever Reigns wants to do, and walk away with the championship.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing with it, we are going to get that moment where he does this lucky punch, and then Paul Heyman's going to be crestfallen or be shot. Do you think Roman Reigns is going to be pinned? But yeah, Roman Reigns for me is going to win this. This is all day long. Roman Reigns winning. He's not in danger here. I can't see the title changing. If WWE are clever, what they would do is they'll do Roman win. The end of the night, you get the next challenger for Roman coming out. Let's start this build for Survivor Series on this event, really. We need to see where we're going with Roman after this. I think this has been a great filler. But for me, Roman's winning this. It's just not even a question, to be honest. It's just how soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a question I can throw to you, NX Steve. I mean, obviously, give us your prediction, but how soon will it be? Will this be a short match? Will it be a long match? Will Logan give us more than what we bargained for?
I think it's going to be one of these matches that just has a moment that will go down in WWE history. It'll be one of the things that they just play back to again and again over the years. You'll get Logan hit that punch that they've talked about for so much over the last couple of weeks that it'll just be one of them things that they'll talk about. But no, I can't personally see Logan Paul winning. It's going to be Roman Reigns. I imagine, unless, I don't know, they do something stupid and bring KSI out on Logan Paul's behalf and he knocks out one of the Usos, you know what I mean? They do something dumb like that. It's just going to be one of these moment matches. But for me, now I'm sticking with Roman Reigns. He's going to retain. Absolutely.
And of course, the Usos are on this show. The next match we're going to talk about. Do either of you see the Usos trying to get involved in this match? Obviously, Jay has tried to get involved with Logan Paul before. He got knocked out for his trouble.
I think the only reason why that will happen is to further on this storyline with Sami Zayn. That's the only reason why they may do it. Maybe there can be some bickering between Jay and Sami regarding the Usiness and stuff like that, maybe. But no, I think Roman should do it on his own. He needs to win this match clean. It's been a long time since Roman's been able to do a job clean. This is the event to do it, really, for me.
Absolutely. I would agree. I think Roman should do this solo without any help personally, although I could see if they'd want to do so. But NXT, final thoughts on this before we go and move on?
I think if you are going to get the Usos involved, it's just going to be something to add to that storyline and how that Jay is becoming more of a hindrance to the bloodline than anything else. That's my goal. And I've said that on this channel before, that I've always said that Jay should start becoming a hindrance to the bloodline, and that's how we get this split with Sami and stuff. But yeah, I just think if that's what they're going to do, that's how it'll play into it.
I have to wait and see how it will play out. But it's a full house. Roman Reigns is going to be predicted all along. I think this match is actually going to go about between 10 to 12 minutes. So I reckon that's the roundabout target we could look for it. Entrances included, probably looking about 20. So yeah, hopefully it'll be decent. I mean, Logan's had good performance up to now. We know Roman can go as well, and let's hope they can give us a couple of special moments during this. But yeah, we've all gone for Roman Reigns. I feel it's appropriate just to bring this question in now, so I'll do it from C Nation. C Nation, thank you very much. He said, I heard that WWE are delaying the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn tag team storyline because Sami Zayn is white hot with the bloodline. You are not wrong. That is what's going around at the moment. Sami is taking what's meant to be a 3 or 4 week thing. He's turned it extremely UC up to the hottest level possible, and it looks like it's going to continue for the foreseeable future. Jonesy, I think that's only a good thing at this moment.
100%. This guy's one of the most over things besides Roman Reigns in WWE at the moment. This guy's been incredible. The job and what they're doing there, they've got an organic person that's from nothing that's become a star again. So I think definitely this guy, if he carries on this form, could be a world champion within a year, honestly.
Absolutely, and that's the other thing as well. If the rumors are to be true that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens would win the tag titles at WrestleMania, plenty of time now. We're only at the start of November, 1st of November today. Plenty of time to tell that story, next, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, I think they're doing the right thing by holding Kevin Owens off. I mean, I know he's done a couple of bits in NXT recently, so yeah, it's just going to be all about timing. But yeah, Sami is just white hot at the minute with his storyline, and they're doing. I'm glad that they're like going with it and not brushing it to a side. Like, obviously, I think if Vince was still in charge, that this Sami thing would have ended literally after 4 weeks, like it was supposed to, and Vince wouldn't have carried on the run that Sami's on. Like, I know there's been times before with like Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston that fan pressure has pushed it that far, but I'm glad Triple H has seen it that way and he's sticking with it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's the right move to do right now, C Nation. But we'll have to see how it'll play along. But gents, let's move on to our next match. In the meantime, we mentioned about the Bloodline, so it only seems fitting. Let's talk about the Usos defending the Undisputed Tag Team Championships against the Brawling Brutes, of course, Ridge Holland and Butch, a.k.a. Pete Dunne. I think the quickest way to say this storyline, Sheamus was written off TV for his wedding. Congratulations to Sheamus. 4-1 beatdown from the Bloodline. But this past week, obviously, the rest of the Brawling Brutes picked up a big victory over Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. Again, with the friction that we've had with the Bloodline, it's led to the Tag Team title events here at this show. Now, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball out because I'm give my prediction early on this one. The Usos are retaining. It doesn't feel right for the belts to change hands, in my personal opinion here. But what I would say is that I think we could be starting to build towards War Games here because, well, we have Ridge Holland, Butch, and Sheamus. That could be 3 members against the Bloodline. And the New Day are looking to try and stop the Usos, obviously, getting the record with those tag team titles. They've only got a couple of weeks to do it between now and Survivor Series. NXT, could that be the 5 that could go against the Bloodline inside of War Games?
It could be, but then again, with the way Triple H is booking at the minute, is never say never, and anything can change. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's always match card subject to change, but it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Like I said, we don't even know who's going to be inside War Games. It's like we don't know if they're going to do one for the men, one for the women, if they're just going to have one. Yeah, it's really exciting to see. But yeah, this match itself, though, I'm looking forward to it because Usos are always a great tag team. Pete Dunne is a great wrestler. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to what these 4 can actually do in the ring together. The only one I'm a bit skeptical on is Ridge Holland, but like he's week by week he's grown on me, and I think personally he's beginning to impress me more and more. I see him.
He's improving, actually, leaps and bounds, actually. I would agree with you there. Just before I go to predictions from you, Nick, Steve, I'd like to get Jones's take of my feelings there, of that being the potential War Games match against the Bloodline.
I think from an in-ring perspective, it's fine, but for me, it doesn't excite me. It's not really enough. Like, you're going to have Roman Reigns in this match. Roman Reigns against all them people, I think he'll just destroy them. He's not that level, if that makes sense, but I think it'd be all right. I just think that potentially they need to, if they are going to make this a 4-person War Games match, it works, but the minute you go to a 5, you need another heavyweight really to equal out Roman, really, somebody else. But they could do this, I guess. I think you're more likely to get War Games with the OC and Judgment Day at the moment, I think, out of everybody, in all honesty.
That could be a definitely a different avenue that could go down. Just one other name then to go alongside then the Brawling Brutes. Would Drew McIntyre be a heavyweight that would fit there?
That would be fine. Yeah, that would work. Yeah, that'd be better than just the New Day as such, I think, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, let's go into what we're talking about this match then quickly. And NXT, then you give your take there, saying you were impressed with at least 3 out of the 4 performers here. Coming down to a prediction then, how do you see it playing out?
I'm going to stick with Usos as well. There's only one person that's going to take them tag titles off, and for me, that's Sami Zayn in some form or another, hopefully with Kevin Owens. But yeah, I just think that's the story, the long goal. But yeah, Usos are going to retain. They're going to go on to be the longest reigning tag team champions because New Day have just been so far out of the frame for these tag titles at the minute that, yeah, I can't see anyone having a credible challenge until Sami breaks off from the Bloodline.
I have to agree with you 100% there. Jonesy, your thoughts then quickly on this match and your prediction then with the Usos and Brawling Brutes.
Don't sound like a parrot. The Usos are winning. Obviously, to retain, then Usos and New Day, that's the way to go down next, as you said. But yeah, also Usos to win. I just hope Ridge is the one that gets pinned. Please, if there's any God out there, Ridge should be the one to get pinned. Pete Dunne's far too good to be in a tag team for me.
It feels like we're heavily biased there. Don't want to see Butch take that pinfall, do we? We're massive fans there. But C Nation does say, though, I've always seen something in Ridge Holland. Glad more people are finally seeing it. He's definitely growing on us. We will say that, even if we are massive Butch fans.
His character work's always been fine. Like, I've always really enjoyed his character. It's just his in-ring. But like I said, he's growing on me week by week.
Absolutely, indeed there. And Jones, any final thoughts?
No. That's all good, man.
That's all good. Well, I'll tell you what then. Let's talk about the next match then. And we talked about attraction matches so far. This certainly falls into that line. That's right. It is Braun Strowman taking on Omos, which Braun Strowman is described will be one of a match like it in history. He said he compared it to Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Personally, for me, I'm looking at Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez from WrestleMania 9. Personally, I don't have high hopes for this match. It works for this show. I think if you put this in a different place, a different American audience, UK audience, whatever, I don't think it's going to be well received. But here, I think people will go for it. I think people will be invested on this show. Us at home, perhaps not. I'm certainly not. But what I will say is, though, it gives almost certainly a big-time feel match, at least in his career, before he probably will slide off to catering for the next few months, at least until the Royal Rumble. I think Braun Strowman's picking up the victory here, Jonesy.
Yeah, for me, Braun Strowman to win. Look for Braun Strowman to get the win. I don't think Omos is coming out with MVP. That's an early prediction. And I think that Braun, this is just designed to make Braun look great, but don't give them long. I just wish we had a Royal Rumble in this spot, in all honesty, instead of this match.
A Royal Rumble 2 months before the Rumble.
But do you know, what was it they used to do? They used to do a Crown Jewel film where Titus slipped. Do you remember that?
The greatest Royal Rumble, yeah.
Maybe that's sort of, maybe not a battle, maybe not a Royal Rumble, but a battle royal, just something really. It gets the same effect with Braun. If that makes sense, it might be far better, but this will be okay. I just don't have high confidence with Omos, unfortunately. I hope it's done quick.
Yeah,
really.
I think it's going to be short and rip the band-aid off, so it'll be quite painless. But NXT, do you have any hope that this match could be good?
No, unfortunately not. It's like Omos isn't the best in ring. Braun, like even from his first night back in WWE when he fell over doing that run around the ring, it's been kind of a calamity, and it feels like it's going to feel like two giant toddlers just struggling to walk half the time to me. But I'm prediction wise, I'm going with the same as you two. I'm going with Braun. I don't think Omos has got. Like I said, I can't see much for Omos going forward. I think Braun is the main focus, especially since he's just come back.
Certainly. And I would just as a final thought here, it's at the right show they're doing this. If they were going to do this anytime, now is the right place, the right time. And I think the right winner will be Braun Strowman. Sinesh has a couple of questions, which he threw in earlier on. So let's answer those quickly before we go on to all the women's tag team titles and, of course, the last women's standing match. He actually goes on to say he thinks it should have been the New Day versus the Usos for the tag team titles here. It makes more sense with the story. The New Day went to keep their record. Do you reckon that that's going to be safe for a SmackDown instead, Nick, Steve?
Sorry, say that last bit again. You cut out slightly for me.
Do you reckon then this will be on a SmackDown instead on the Road to Survivor Series?
Possibly, or it could be like, well, how many days are they away from breaking the record now? Will it be before Survivor Series?
Yeah.
Then probably, more than likely, you'll probably get New Day as a last chance attempt to stop the Usos from overtaking their record. And it probably will happen on the SmackDown.
Absolutely. Jones, what's your thoughts on this comment?
I think that they are the natural challengers, but for me, I just don't see them losing. As Silk said earlier, I don't see the Usos dropping the belt to Mania. That's kind of the only way. The only way that they expedite the process is if they are able to do the unthinkable at this point and bring in an FTR or something early next year. That's the only way I can see the Usos dropping it sooner. But we'll just see with it. I think it's all kind of filler, but in ring, it's fine. It's just the result is so predictable for me. I think whenever the Usos are involved, unfortunately.
Just to play on what you just said there, like, if they were to bring back FTR before Mania, that would throw everything into absolute chaos for them tag titles. Because you imagine that obviously we all look at it and go, the natural progression is Sammy and Kevin to take them titles. But man, you throw an FTR in that equation, you have FTR, Usos, Sammy and Kevin at Mania. God damn, that's going to be so hard to predict.
If you want to add even more to that layer, just give Sami Zayn the Money in the Bank briefcases. Oh no, get him to win the Elimination Chamber as well. That could be something further to do as well.
It is in Montreal, so it's always a possibility. But if FTR were to come back to WWE, you could say it could be a revival, perhaps, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I know, it's really bad. Quick. But make sure to hit the like button if anyone's enjoying this. But Sinesh does go on to say as well, if the Undisputed Tag Team titles turn from 4 tag team titles into 2 tag team titles, which lineage do you think will keep going, the Raw lineage or the SmackDown one? I think they would just be called the tag team titles if that was going to be the case.
I agree.
Yeah, I think they just go to like a generic black strap belt. Like, as long as they go back to them horrible brown ones, it'll be fine.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree with that. And Sinesh does say thinks the Usos will break the record. We do agree with that. But in the meantime, we shall head back into the matches. And well, I'll tell you what, as the fact that this is kind of breaking news, we didn't have time to get the graphic ready because it's that close to the stream. I'm just going to bring it up here for everybody. We've got the women's tag team titles. A rematch going to be taking place. The C Nation, I think we'll be answering a couple of your questions here just through conversation. Alexa Bliss and Asuka taking on Damage Control, of course. We had new champions crowned on Monday Night Raw last night in Alexa Bliss and Asuka. Some on Twitter have found that a questionable decision. NXT, first I'll come to you. What are your thoughts of the titles changing last night on Monday Night Raw, only to get a rematch here this Saturday?
I'm not a fan of the titles changing because for me, Dakota and Io are a natural tag team. Like I know, yes, Asuka and Alexa have been tagging for a while, but they aren't a tag team. They're just two single stars thrown together. And I'm never a big fan of that. I much prefer established tag teams. But the fact that they've done it, I think, is just to add more to the fact that they're having women wrestle at the show. Because originally, I think there was just the Bianca Bayley match. So to get another 4 women on the match card, I think is what it's mainly about. I'd just say, before I go into my prediction, I just think that's what this match is about.
I think that's a very good argument that's been made there. Clearly, perhaps they've been brought over as well. Maybe they'll get involved in the last women's standing match, Jonesy.
Yeah, maybe. I think the film with it, I think in ring it'll be fine. I think Oscar and Io did some fantastic work on Raw. It was quite exciting, it was quite good, but the decision making is just really, really silly for me for WWE. I don't know why you would do this. Damage Control are at the point now where they are damaged, literally. I think
Nice.
this isn't really going to be a great match. Like this isn't really going to be anything different. And their tag team titles, they just don't know how to book a women's tag team title. I don't know what it is with WWE. Triple H has done it. Vince did it the same. WWE really need to learn what they're doing with that. But I think this will be okay, but I can only really see one winner in all honesty.
Who would that be? Let's go for it.
That would be the champions, the new champions. I don't see them winning the belt and then hot potatoing it back. I'd like to see that, but I just don't see it. I think they're going to win. And hopefully Damage Control can go under a rock or something after that. I don't know, get a member and rebuild maybe. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, the thing is, for me, I would say with Damage Control, they have been sufferers a bit of the booking. Like we've been speaking off air, myself and Jonesy. NXT want your take on this in a minute. I think the honeymoon period for Triple H will start to fade away now. I think he's going to be judged a lot more going into we get towards WrestleMania season. There's been a couple of things that I would argue and say they haven't gone to everybody's taste in booking. A couple of people even infected on this show. Damage Control could be one of them because they come in. We don't really know the purpose of this group still to a point, apart from they want to win all the gold and take over the women's division. But there's not really much layer more to the characters. You just know the fact that Bayley wants the women's championship and she's got some backup in Io and Dakota. But at the same time, they have had 2 opportunities with these women's tag team titles. The first time they lost in the tournament finals, which I thought was the first real hit that I don't think they've really recovered from. Then they won the championships then a couple of weeks later on Raw, but now they've lost them here. Do you feel that this could be an early sign that Damage Control aren't just getting over the way that perhaps Triple H and WWE want them to?
For me, no. I'll give my prediction now, but I think the Damage Control are going to take them titles back. I think this is just a pure moment, if I'm honest. Like I think that Asuka and Alexa winning it is just going to play into the bigger narrative, especially with the Bianca and Bayley match. Me personally, I'm going to go. Like I said, I'm glad finally there's an answer that's different, but I'm going to say that Damage Control retain. I think there's like almost like an Undisputed era, like a prophecy of gold, where every one of them is going to carry a title and stuff. And I think that's just what will happen. I've got no problems with them hot potatoing back because I'd rather see the titles on Damage Control. Like I said, they're an established team. But I know what you mean. Yes, the honeymoon period will probably come to an end at some point, but my worry for the women's division is just there's so much talent and there's just not enough for them to be doing on TV, especially with the likes of Nikki Cross coming back as well as Nikki Cross. I think that they're just stacking out this women's division. It's going to really start becoming a bit of a burden for them, if anything.
Yeah, I could understand that. I can kind of agree with that. And I feel like to myself, there could be a reason it's going to play into my prediction here. I think Bliss and Asuka are going to retain the championships. They won them on Raw, and I think there's a purpose long term. And I don't think it's actually to do with Damage Control of why they've won those championships. If you've watched SmackDown last week, 2 people now look like they're going to finally be on the same page together. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for those women's tag team titles in the near future and win the gold. And that could then nicely set up your War Games match. Damage Control, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler going up against Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, and Nikki Cross. Jonesy, would that work for you?
Yeah, it's a great match. It sounds really good. There's a lot of you can see it working. I think that'd be really good. It's really questionable who can win, which I like. And yeah, I'd be a fan of that. I think the thing with this match, I think it's just a case of really of what they do. There's got to be a purpose to them changing the belts at this point, and just a case of where they go with this. I think the main thing with Damage Control, that was my main fear with it, my last thing on it really is they got destroyed last month by Bianca Belair on her own, and since then they've not really looked the same, to be honest. I just hope they can get that momentum back. And bringing Asuka back in this spot, I wasn't particularly a fan of this. I really want to see Asuka doing something different. I feel like I'm stuck in a time warp. I feel like with deja vu. This is Groundhog Day. It's the same thing every single time. But back to the subject, I think that War Games match will be good. And that is a great way to get them in there. The only thing with it is, I guess with Ronda Rousey, do you get the women's title off her, or is she just in there as the champion? The women's title goes to the side for a bit temporarily, I guess.
Maybe just goes to the side just for the moment. But I've got a funny feeling she might not be a long-term champion. I don't know why I get that feeling, but I have got a feeling. And Steve, anything you'd like to add on it just to finish things off?
No, go for it, mate. Move ahead.
Let's move ahead. Well, SC Nation thinks that WWE have messed up Damage Control. I will ask another question regarding Damage Control at the moment, in a couple of moments, but regarding our next match. But SC Nation is going to say he thinks that Damage Control would regain those women's tag team titles, but not at Crown Jewel. Interesting, because obviously that's a different narrative as well that could be quite fun to see. But we mentioned Damage Control. There is one member of Damage Control that will be also going for a championship, and that's Bayley. She'll be going for the Raw Women's Championship against the champion Bianca Belair in a last woman standing match. I've got to say, these women have had quite a collective of stipulation matches, obviously. Just coming off of Extreme Rules with the ladder match. They've done Hell in a Cell before as well. These two women have had quite a catalogue of great matches, and I think that this one will add to it, Alex Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, these two have been knocking it out of the park every time they've met, and do you know what I mean? This is, without giving a prediction away, but this is building to one certain point, and yeah, this it's going to be great because for me, Bayley's the GOAT of the women's division, and Bianca Belair is like, she's up there. She's a fantastic wrestler, and yeah, just like you said, the fact that they're getting another stipulation match, I think this is going to be the end of this feud now, because I can't see these two going again in another stipulation in 4, 5, 6 weeks time when Survivor Series rolls up. But the worry is where they're both going to move on from after this, depending on who walks out with the title.
We'll have to wait and see. Jones, what are your thoughts then about the last women's standing match?
I'm looking forward to it. I think this will be a great match. I've really enjoyed their work before. I like the different stipulations. It feels fresh, even though I've seen it multiple times. Yeah, really, really excited. I really think that this is a great opportunity to fix what they should have done at Extreme Rules, really, for me. I think this is a great opportunity to try and recover that situation.
Would you have said then that Bayley should have won at Extreme Rules?
Yeah, she should have won. I think the finish, you give her that build. She wins at Clash of the Castle, which is a massive win. Bianca Belair doesn't really lose. The whole time for that build of that feud, the heels are running away from Bianca Belair and they're outnumbered continually, which doesn't really fit well with me. And I think for me, I just think Bayley, to be fair, has been on the back foot a lot of this feud so far. And I want some freshness. We're getting a bit to the point with Bianca Belair. She just wins all the time. She's fantastic, but I like a change. She's been a great women's champion. And for me, I feel like it's time for a change, in all honesty.
A follow-up question for that, because I like a lot of the points you've just made there, but people have been starting to compare Bianca Belair as like the John Cena currently of this era. Do you feel that fans will start turning on her if she was to actually retain the championship again here?
I think potentially yes, unless there's somebody better you're going to give the belt to. For me, the odds have been against her continually. There's only so long you could play that storyline, and now it's even. Really, this is the point where I think Bayley really should go and win it. If I'm being honest, Bayley has to win this. That's kind of my prediction. Bayley to win this. If Bayley doesn't win this now, I don't know where the hell they go. Really, the whole point of Bayley putting a Clash of the Castle was just a total throwaway for no reason. So Bayley to win here. And I think I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. I think Bayley and Becky Lynch down the line could be a fantastic match. The matches that Bayley can have with people. Bayley, by far, is probably the best women's wrestler in WWE, although Bianca Belair is fantastic as well. I really enjoyed her as a champion. Just want to see something new, really.
I think it's time to see something new and something fresh there. I would agree with that. And Steve, would you like to add on to this?
No, just to back off what Jonesy said, he's nailed it to a T there. It needs to be Bayley. She, like you said, Steve, you can't have Bianca retain this title for too much longer because, crowd could start to sour on her. I don't know, maybe write Bianca out with an injury angle here. Just give us, a couple of weeks off TV just to start again. Maybe write off till Survivor Series or even till Mania. Just like, do you know what I mean? Just make sure that she isn't oversaturated to the crowd. But yeah, I think this has got to be the point now where Bayley wins it. She's had so many chances, and it's like if she doesn't win now, you look at it and go, where does Bayley go from here if she doesn't win? It's almost like she's got no direction and nothing as well. So yeah, for me, it's the same. I think Bayley's going to win this.
I've got one other thing to add while we're on the subject as well. I reckon Nikki Cross to get involved and cost Bianca. I think they need to do that. Although Nikki's been attacking everybody, this one makes sense based on that backstage scene on Raw this week where they were talking. I think they need to pay that off this week. Not have Nikki Cross in the stable, but I think this is a great way for Bianca not to lose anything by getting pinned necessarily.
Yeah, I can see that point of view there. Just to go on to give my take on the match as well, I think you both make some really good points, and I've got to agree with you. I think it's time for change of the guard. I do think that what they did on Raw at the end there was fantastic. With the Bayley to Belly that was off the podium, went through the tables. Thought it was absolutely spectacular the way they did that. Obviously, it led on afterwards there with the tag team titles there changing hands. I think one of the reasons those titles changed hands is because Bayley is walking away with the gold here. I think the time is now, like you said, it's all fit together nicely. If it doesn't happen here, damage control really will be, as Jones has said earlier, damaged. I don't know if they'll be able to come back from that. So I think from here, if they're going to lose one title, they need to gain another. And if they gain the most important title on the Raw brand, then that keeps them with that relevance. Bayley at that point then has two people that can watch her back retain the top championship rather than holding all the gold at this point. So yeah, I think that's going to be my take and my see on it, that I think Bayley also is. So it's another full house. NXT, anything you'd like to add before we move on to the comments?
Go for it, mate. Go ahead.
Jonesy?
I'm just going to ask, do you think you guys, this is a spot to add somebody else to damage control, like a Alba Fire, for example, or an Indy Hartwell? Do you think this, or Candice LeRae? Do you reckon this is a spot to further give them that momentum if they are going to be in a War Games match potentially?
I do like the idea of it, potentially as well, because of, let's say they don't add Ronda and Shane, like you said, they're going to need someone else in there. Someone that's just fallen completely to the wayside recently is Raquel Rodriguez, and I think she'd be a fantastic fit for that group. Talk about the Batista of an Evolution type group. She'd be perfect in that role.
Yeah, I agree. I like that, man.
Yeah, my fear with the women's division is because, like, especially with them bringing back Emma as well, that it's so stacked, and there's not, aside from the main titles and the tag titles, there's not a lot for the women to do in the division. Like, it almost feels like we're getting to the point where we are going to get a women's only show because there is just so much talent. And I think if you made Raw and SmackDown and both male dominated shows, it was to come up with another, not even to say, well, I don't know if they was trying to do what an NXT was originally, just make a network only show, but like give the women more screen time that way. And then hopefully that would maybe progress to going to an actual TV show like they can get on the network and stuff like that. But yeah, they're just, women's division is so stacked, and that's the worry that there's so many of them are not getting used, and they've got so much great talent on this show.
Do you think, Jones, there could be a fear with the women's? Because Rated R asked me this question on his stream the other day, that there was a potential where people won't get TV time. Be too many people stuck in catering. There's not enough spots going around at the moment.
I think definitely. I think the trouble with it, WWE continually aggressively hiring more women as well. Yes, there's not enough TV, as you said, but it's a case really of establishing them challenges. 2 women's titles is fine, but just an equal split, like the way that they've sort of bring people back and stuff. I think Triple H almost feels guilty that people got released, so he's just going all out to get everybody. But there are some weaker wrestlers that maybe shouldn't be getting even spots, to be honest, unfortunately. To be cruel, sorry to say that.
That's fair. I mean, you've not named names, which I think is probably a good thing on that. But at the same time, we all have opinions of some that will be better for the roles than others. And I can agree that perhaps there will be some people will look and say, oh, well, maybe I'm surprised that person got brought back, or that's not someone I would have fit in that spot. But at the same time, what I would say is that I think it could be a situation of where Triple H is bringing people in, and we could have like the old NXT days where we see some people 1 week, we won't see them for another week, we'll see them the week after. Then that means that they won't be so overexposed. But in the modern era of wrestling, does that get to a situation where we feel like, well, we don't see them enough, therefore they don't get that star power and that stock? Like a Sami Zayn on TV once every 2 weeks with the current incarnation with his character right now, I think would really harm it.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. It's kind of like how it's like, but then again, he's done it before with NXT. Like NXT, you wouldn't see certain wrestlers for 3 weeks at a time because of the way the show was broadcast. When it was just on the network, and they would shoot it 3 weeks at a time, and it kind of made sense. But then I suppose the NXT roster was a lot smaller, but it's 51 and half of another. It could work and it couldn't work. And yeah, like I said, like you said with Sammy, at the minute, his momentum is so high at the minute that I think if you was not to have him on the show, it would be a reason for people to not tune in.
Absolutely. Jonesy, last say on that before we move on to the next bit?
I think classic example of that is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' momentum was fantastic in recent weeks. Not been seen for weeks now, has he? But yeah, just too many wrestlers. I think the problem is you need to go back to the good old days where your top stars, you know exactly where they're going and what the plans are 3 or 4 months in advance, if possible. When you've got so much talent available, disposable, and you're thinking of signing more and more, I feel sorry for Triple H. I don't know how you keep everybody happy, other than giving pay rises.
Absolutely. Her catering is very good, though. So that's always something that's ever bonus. Yeah, C Nation has said that how come the women's tag team titles are always booked bad? I thought Triple H would have fixed this, but he's just done the same thing like Vince McMahon. Jones, you kind of made that comparison earlier. Do you feel that that this is the change of the guard, that we'll start seeing something better with the women's tag team titles going forward? That's why we've had this change. Do you reckon at the moment it's just a bit, it's not being booked right?
I really hope with Triple H. I really trust Triple H to do a good job. My biggest concern on the tag team titles is your tag team women's division is just singles wrestlers thrown together. There's no Legion of Dooms. There's no Demolitions. There's no New Age Out. There's no nothing really there. That there's not one tag team in the tag team division you can say that long term could be a successful tag team. Maybe they will build that in future, but they just need time and they need to have a good program. We need a Usos in the women's tag team division. I don't know who that could be, but that's what we need, really.
I like that word, time. That's a good word.
That's exactly it. You just need established teams, and it's like I'm sick of just seeing single stars thrown together, and it's just such a pain in the backside. Like the fact that not Candace, what's it? The team in NXT with the longest name, or Casey Catanzaro or Caden Carter. Do you know? Yeah. Those two, the longest established tag team, and they've only just picked up the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. And it's just, do you know what I mean? It's how can the longest established team not have won the tag titles yet, but yet all these teams that are thrown together, like they gave Raquel and Dakota the tag team titles twice for a day each time before an established team has even won them. It just doesn't make sense at the minute.
No, I hear what you're saying there, but with time, hopefully the fix things will be quite nice, hopefully. And I mean, there's toxic attraction that will come up eventually. You mentioned there, Katana Chance and Caden Carter. You've got the likes there potentially of Indy Hartwell when she's called up with Candice LeRae. So there is a chance to make an established division. I think it's just going to, unfortunately, as Jonesy said, need the word time. But fingers crossed it will be booked in Triple H. We do trust, but we are going to move things on in the meantime because we've got matches to go through. And well, we're speaking of tag teams. How about a 6-man tag team match? I'm talking about the OC going against the Judgment Day. Now, of course, before we even get into this, Carl Anderson was double booked, wasn't he? He was meant to be on a New Japan show this same day, and he's obviously been booked here for this one. Looks like he's not going to be doing that New Japan date. It's going to be very interesting to see. NXT, you've already given your take there. I mean, what are your thoughts here?
Whoever pays the most money, he goes to. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, it's a scummy move to do. You'd have thought that Carl Anderson was playing gatekeeper here between a cross brand between New Japan and WWE. And he's gone and messed it all up by double booking himself for the same date. But yeah, unfortunately, these Saudi Arabia shows pay very handsomely. So you're always going to go where the money is, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Would that say then, Jones, that Carl Anderson has not been a good brother here?
No, definitely not. He's gone where the money is. But it's one of them things. You can't really blame him. If you're in business, wrestling is a business. Loyalty kind of will go out the window, innit? Let's be fair. Unless you're gonna go whoever pays you the most when you're in a contract. But it was great to see them back. Let's put a positive on it. It's great to see this tag team back.
100%.
My biggest complaint, my biggest travesty of this that nearly brought me to tears. Ray's left. We haven't got Ray and Dom. That's been the highlight of my year so far. But no, really looking forward to the match. I think this will be fun. And credits to WWE. The rebooking of Rhea Ripley, despite her not being cleared for months and coming back now, has been impressive. She looks $1 million. And she's the most over person coming out of all this. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And give a kudos to WWE as well. The last one from me. AJ Styles is on a pay-per-view. That's got to be worth something its own. It's a rarity. It's so good to see.
Absolutely. I agree. I think WrestleMania Backlash potentially could have been the last one. Was it Hell in a Cell? Maybe one of those two. It has been at least 3 or 4 months since we've seen him on one. So it's great to see that AJ Styles. You make a fantastic point. It's great to see the OC back actually as a trio. AJ was needing something, and I think that it's great here. We've got to continue on. I will say, Ray and Dom, don't worry, Jonesy, it will come back. I'm expecting Judgment Day to invade on SmackDown at some point in the near future when the time is right. But perhaps they can give it a bit of a break between now, so they can have the match at WrestleMania. I mean, the Good Brothers are back in town. AJ Styles has got some backup. Like you said, their Dominic Mysterio has still been amazing on the microphone, getting a lot of heel heat. Judgment Day are doing well. Finn's doing some of the best work of his career, his WWE career, certainly nonetheless. And like you said, Rhea Ripley has been the X factor when it comes to this match, getting involved in a number of matches. AJ Styles losing to Dominic Mysterio. Obviously, Carl Anderson losing as well to Finn Balor. Of course, the low blow was featured there with Rhea Ripley. Luke Gallows was body slammed on the floor as well. I know NXT was immediately thinking Rhea Ripley to go and win it in the Continental title. But at the same time, I would say at the same time, though, we saw backstage Luke Gallows, the self-proclaimed ladies' man of the group, said he was going to go and fix this. Got another low blow for his trouble. It's not happened since, is it? I must admit, he knows how to sell a low blow, doesn't he? He can sell a low blow. He's got
the wrong bus or something. Let's be fair. Come on.
But the thing is, what I think ultimately comes down to this match, gents, is one of two things here. This is going to go over to Survivor Series. It's not done on this show. The question is do the OC have backup coming in to help them on this show? They've got a Rhea Ripley problem, and they know it. They can't be the ones to fix it. They need to recruit somebody. I did a video that went on YouTube yesterday, giving my take on it, so I'll get your take on will we get that or not. Will it happen on this show, or will it be where the numbers will take advantage again and Judgment Day pick up the victory? Jones, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah, for me, I think the numbers will take advantage of it. There's two things. If you're going to do the reveal of the person at the pay-per-view, that limits to one person. If it's somebody that's returning, you're going to get it at Survivor Series. That's the way I kind of look at it. But I've got my name down who I think it is. But for me, Judgment Day, I think, are winning this, and this will then drag on to Survivor Series, where you may get that reveal of who it is.
Absolutely. I'm going to hold suspense for people just for a moment there, James. I'm going to let you hold on to that name on the edge of your tongue. NXT, just come and give us your take then. What's been your thought here with this build-up here, and how do you see it playing out then when it comes to the show here?
Like I said, it's amazing how everyone was criticizing the Judgment Day 4 weeks ago or however long it was, and now look at them. They're like one of the best things on the show. And yeah, I'm loving it, man. Don't get me wrong. I gassed when Gallows and Anderson come back. But yeah, like I said, it's just this female participant. I have a name, and it's like I said, I haven't watched your video yet, Steve. So mine might be completely out and like left field. So this might be a complete strange one. But I've got one name. But let's see what you guys have got.
Interesting to see. Right, okay, so this is going to be what I did a prediction we rated on his channel the other day, and I said I thought the Judgment Day would win. After watching Raw this week, I now believe that someone is going to come in here at Crown Jewel, and they will be the person to come in and help the OC pick up the victory. So I'm going to go for the OC win here by the fact that this person helps them on this night. Although I do think narratively it should be saved to Survivor Series. That's my personal opinion. I prefer Judgment Day to win here if I got what I wanted, having the numbers advantage still. I believe, and I'm going to say it out first because it's already out on YouTube, Beth Phoenix was my name. That's who I think it will be. Jonesy, give us your name.
So if it's going to be this pay-per-view, the return, it's Raquel Gonzalez. They're doing that already on the house show. They've already teased Raquel and Rhea. It seems a natural fit. They've got history. There's a history of NXT. It's quite an easy one to do. If you want to do a big return at Survivor Series, I'd be with you. You are looking at Beth Phoenix. If you want to be batshit crazy and throw one other name out there, you could go Mia Yim. For me, I don't really want to see that. But yeah, it'll be Beth Phoenix at Survivor Series or Raquel Gonzalez. They're the two I would go for. Beth Phoenix is a really sensible shout, though. That would make total sense. I'd love to see that, really.
Absolutely. NXT, what's the name on the tip of your tongue?
You guys are completely forgetting the mixed match challenge. It's going to be Charlotte Flair. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, she's
Charlotte there. And AJ, the phenomenal. Do you know what I mean?
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine her coming as a babyface? Like, it would be awful for her. She can't do a babyface promo. I feel so sorry for her.
Yeah, I know, but I just think it would be hilarious, man. Because imagine trying to get Charlotte over as a babyface that way. Yeah, it was just one name that popped into my head because I was like, "Come on, AJ and Charlotte got mixed match challenge history together." It makes like if they was going to pick a female that has history, do you know what I mean? She makes sense.
She's due back, so it's something they could do.
It would be fun. I would be down for the idea of Charlotte Flair being that role. In fact, Mia Yim was another name suggested in the video as well. It was very popular in the comments of the other video that I did.
Although, don't get me wrong, I would love to see Raquel Gonzalez as part of the OC. I think that would be fantastic.
Does feel like a natural fit. That was someone I didn't mention in the video, Jonesy, so I like that idea. I think it's quite a fun one.
Thank you. It's just one I sort of thought of logically, and it's one you could actually Raquel holding her own against Rhea. Whoever comes against Rhea, Rhea's been dominating against men, so they're going to have to hold their own. If it's somebody that's a tiny person or something, it's going to look really stupid. The other one would have been a Nikki Cross, but they've obviously used that already like a couple of weeks ago to return.
Absolutely, and they had Liv Morgan earlier this year as well. I should mention that was with teaming with AJ Styles and Finn Balor against Judgment Day. But Liv Morgan now is completely off doing her own thing. She's lost the plot on SmackDown, so I don't think they should be filling that role.
No. But then again, obviously Rhea was the one that broke up the tag team, so Liv Morgan's not a bad chat. To be fair, it could be a complete another out of left field one that you don't realize because obviously Liv and Rhea have history as a tag team together.
Absolutely, as does Nikki Cross. But final take then. Final predictions one more time. Then. Jonesy, who's your win for this match?
I'm going for Judgment Day. I think Judgment Day to win.
And it's Steve?
Yeah, gone the same there. The biggest payoff is OC winning when they finally get an equalizer for Rhea Ripley.
Absolutely. I think that equalizer is going to come and help them during this show. I'm going for the OC to pick up the victory, although I think in storyline narrative, I think the other two guys hopefully will get it right. So let's go to the comments then, shall we? We've got Noob and Carmen in the house. Noob, hope you're doing well. Nice to see you. He says damage control is nothing but collateral damage. It literally is at this point, although we think it can be recovered on this show. Noob, go back if you haven't seen what we've said already, because it's great to see the OC in action, but seriously, the OC need to deal with Rhea Ripley. That seems to be the biggest curveball, been the biggest part of our discussion when it comes to that match there. Weird how Seth Rollins and Mustafa Ali were both on the show on Raw last night and did not interact with each other. Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. I'm guessing they're saving this match for further down the line. In fact, Noob did bring up C-Nation did bring up a question at the start of the stream. So now if there's an appropriate time to bring that up, what were your thoughts with Seth Rollins against Austin Theory? A very good match, but Rollins seemed to be a clear babyface in that match. Could that be a bit of a change in direction for character for Jonesy?
Yeah, fantastic match. I think it would do well for Seth Rollins to do that. Just keep him away from Bray Wyatt. That's all I would say. But I think it would be overdue. Seth as a babyface would work, unless you're going to do Cody versus Seth. Maybe do that with Cody as the heel. I don't really know how that would work. But I'd be a fan of that. Seth does his best work when he's a babyface and the fans are behind him, which is what he's going towards at the moment.
Absolutely. Of course, got the blonde locks as well again now with the 10-year celebration. And Steve, what are your thoughts with this? Because you said about Seth Rollins versus Cody at WrestleMania for the longest time now. Do you reckon that would hinder it if Seth had turned babyface last night?
Yeah, because you can't bring Cody back as a heel, man. He's too fan favorite at the minute. It would not make sense for a dynamic. But look, at the end of the day, I'm getting entertaining wrestling. So, like I said, someone's got to be cheered at between Austin Theory and Seth Rollins. And unfortunately for the minute, a lot of people hate Theory more than they do Seth Rollins. So it's going to work out best for Seth. But yeah, man, like I said, it was just a fantastic match. And I'm not against Seth turning face. It just, like I said, my dream match is Cody versus Seth for that Universal title or the World Championship. You know what I mean? Either one, but that's the one I want to see at Mania next year.
We'll have to wait and see how it'll go down. It looks like Seth will not be on this card. No match has been announced. I'm guessing him against Mustafa Ali will be saved for a Raw or later down the line, perhaps even at Survivor Series. C-Nation says they are saving Ray and Dominic for WrestleMania. It looks like they are at this point doing a good job as well with the separation of brands. And also says Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley reminds me of Eddie Guerrero and China. Nice to
only been saying it for weeks.
He has indeed. And Steve, you have been saying that for quite the while now. C-Nation seems to have a bit of thoughts for poor Luke Gallows. He was just trying to make peace with Rhea Ripley, but got a low blow for his troubles. Absolutely. That seems to be a bit of the trouble there. Nubico says either Beth Phoenix or Charlotte Flair, but it's going to be Charlotte Flair at Survivor Series. There will be the backup there. So I'm guessing potentially we'll be going for Judgment Day there, Noob, but I could be putting words to your mouth. Judgment Day will be embarrassed by the OC. Hope Styles won't get to PTSD on Saturday, so Judgment Day is winning. I'm not sure what those initials mean, but we'll have to wait and see.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what that means.
There we are. There you go. Thank you, Jonesy, for getting that for me there. Yes, I read these comments so quickly sometimes. Beth Phoenix does make most sense story-wise. I would agree, C-Nation, with that one there. And it goes on to say that Charlotte Flair tries so hard to be a babyface, but she can't do it. Fans just don't take to it. They just don't take to it.
Can I add one more thing on the Beth Phoenix thing while we're at it? So with Beth Phoenix, I think if you look at logically as well, I think Saturday's too soon for her to come back from that injury. Like she sold it. Survivor Series will work far better. Like if she comes back and she's all 100%, it might be a bit airy-fairy at this point. I think they're saving that pot for Survivor Series. That would make much more sense.
I personally wouldn't be down. I wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't mind seeing her back.
Yeah, I just think for me, the idea of the legend crown jewel, I know we've not really had that so much this time with crown jewel. Triple H got that sort of different philosophy to what Vince did, but this is as close as you could get. We had Lita at Elimination Chamber. So do you reckon there's a possibility? But also, what about Edge? If Beth is signing with the OC, what does Edge do in the meantime?
I have no idea. I guess he plays daddy. I don't know.
That's why I don't think it can be Beth, because the dynamic doesn't work. Because yes, Beth's got issues with Rhea, but I think the OC are completely separate from Edge, and it just for me, it just doesn't make sense. I can't see it happening. Like I said, that's why I think it's got to be someone else, like Charlotte or a Liv or whoever, or Mia Yim or Chelsea Green. Do you know what I mean?
I have an idea. Last bit of fantasy booking idea. This probably won't happen, but just bear with me. What if Carl Anderson is actually ruled out of the match and attacked, and really he's in New Japan actually doing the match after all, but they've advertised him for this, and the returning partner to take the place is Edge, and Beth Phoenix comes out to help as well at ringside, and then they pick up the victory.
Be a good swerve.
Yeah, that could work.
Be a great swerve.
It's not going to happen, is it? But certainly
of course it won't happen.
We can fantasy book, can't we?
No, it's a great shout, Steve. Like, I give you that, mate. It'll be a great shout. I think Dave Meltzer would be crying probably if he's Wrestling Observer. Like, he's been sort of shocked about Carl Anderson sort of not going back to Japan and stuff. But no, great fantasy booking. Triple H works wonders, but he's not that good of a magician, unfortunately.
No, I don't think you can get Carl Anderson, two of them in two different places at the same time.
Maybe not.
Tino Stein says, what's up, guys? How are we doing this Tuesday? We're doing very well, Tino. It's Tino Tuesday, literally. Thank you for joining us in the stream. Hope you're doing well, my friend. And, of course, you've been doing an NFL stream in the last hour or so. If anyone's into that, make sure to go and check out his stream from earlier today. Sination says, Liv Morgan also has history with AJ Styles because they teamed up earlier this year at Hell in a Cell against Judgment Day. Thank you for clarifying the show that was at C Nation, because I couldn't remember if it was that or if it was at the WrestleMania Backlash show. But, of course, that was just a simple tag team match, I believe, or a rematch with AJ Styles and Edge. I can't remember too much has happened in 2022. If Seth Freakin' Rollins turns babyface, then we could get Roman Reigns versus Seth Freakin' Rollins again. We could.
We could.
Got Survivor Series coming up as well, haven't we?
Yeah,
the 20th anniversary of the Shield.
Yep.
Could happen. Absolutely, indeed. There. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything we need to cover there on that match. So let's go to our following match, and well, we've got another gimmick match to talk about. It's a steel cage match with Drew McIntyre against Karrion Kross. I believe the steel cage element is there because then Scarlett can't get involved in the match. Who has seen a steel cage match before? That doesn't. We know that there's still a way she can get involved in this match, and usually it's distraction over the time. And I'm pretty sure Pepper Spray can get through a cage as well. It's not completely blocked off where we can't see in, but still. My first thing, or my main topic of this, which I'm going to go to both of you, and Steve, I'm going to start with you if you don't mind. I've gone a little bit lackluster with this feud. It's done nothing for me since Extreme Rules. I feel that myself, despite they've done the car crash thing, it's not really worked for me. Karrion Kross just isn't getting over with the audience, but I feel that the reasoning for that may be down to some WWE booking. I don't know if it's Karrion's fault here because he can't win a match without Scarlett's help, it seems. So is it to a point where we've had so many returns that Karrion Kross doesn't feel like that shiny new toy anymore, and he could actually be a victim of being one of the first people to come back?
Yeah, like we've discussed this before, like with the last one when Scarlett was heavily involved in their strap match, and it was stupidly like it was all Scarlett and no Kross. And yeah, I think that the return they've just booked Kross into a corner where at the minute he just can't get out of it. Yes, the steel cage. Like the problem is I can see this going to a third one. That's the worst part. Is I can see Drew winning this, and it's going to go on to Survivor Series or whatever next, and they'll get a third stipulation match. And I just don't understand where they're supposed to be going with Kross from here. And it's like you said, it's not his fault. It's his booking that's been bad. And like I don't understand why they had Kross confront Roman Reigns when he's had no interactions with Roman Reigns ever since. I mean, what is that a long-term story plan where it's supposed to be Kross that's the one that takes the title off of Roman Reigns? Because at the minute, I highly doubt it. And I don't know, it's just, my biggest fear is that this will go to a third one. Like I said, to be fair, at least the steel cage will be a lot more entertaining than what the strap match was, because it was very scrappy and I was never a big fan of it anyway. So I have confidence that it will be better than the last one.
Yeah, I hope it will be better than the last one. And I think the cage works as well for again, it's like the attraction. It works for this show pretty well because the steel cage, I think it's an Ori kind of feeling for, to get that in this environment here for Crown Jewel. So I think fans will be into this match a lot more watching it at the show, which hopefully will translate to watching at home. But you make a fantastic point there, Nick Steve, about Roman Reigns. TikTok, Jonesy, the clocks have changed. What's going on? Why is it not gone for Roman Reigns?
Obviously, they don't want to do long-term storytelling, but yeah, I agree with Steve. Great point. But yeah, I think for me, fortunately, Karrion Kross, I'm a massive fan of him, but it is getting a bit weaker. The stuff in this feud doesn't make sense to me. Like Drew McIntyre being the heel doing a car crash. That I know he wants revenge, but it's pretty. 1 minute it's a car crash with no explanation, and this just feels like a filler feud. Like it's more about Scott. The only one that's getting over so far is Scarlett. You've got Drew that couldn't get the belt won in Cardiff. Karrion Kross with a fluky win at the last show. I'm hoping this will be one and done, but for me, neither wrestler's benefiting from this. I think neither one. They're kind of stuck in this limbo. And whoever wins this overall isn't coming out of any sort of credit to me. No one's progressing on the back of this. It's just a filler feud. I wasn't that impressed at Extreme Rules. I thought they would be fantastic in ring, but it wasn't that good. But I think this may be better. Let's see what gimmicks they can come up with in this match to drag it on.
Absolutely.
I just think this is purely for the fans out in Saudi Arabia that they're putting this on. It's a still look here in Saudi Arabia. We've got a steel cage match. I don't think there's been a steel cage match in Saudi Arabia since they've been doing the show. So I just purely think this is fan service for them out there in Saudi Arabia.
Certainly, I think since the Greatest Royal Rumble was the last one they did, and that, like you said, that was 2018, many years. So, it should be a spectacle for them. Jonesy, you touched on one topic there, so I just want to ask that question back for both of you now. You said that the most person that's getting over this at the moment is Scarlett. Is there a danger that Karrion Kross could be the Mark Merrow of 2022?
What a shout! That's brilliant.
Wow.
Quite possibly, mate. The problem with it is he's a fantastic promo. She's got obviously a great charisma as well. I just don't know if this fits in with everything that's going on with Bray Wyatt. It's all the same type of craziness. There's only so much of it you can take. But this is better than his last run. Let's be positive. This was much better than his last time he was in WWE. So they obviously did this feud to try and get him over. So he came in on a high. But I'm not too sure how they get him out of this without losing with any credibility, really, because everything's been all about Scarlett. When you're not able to beat jobbers such as Madcap Moss without help, what chance have you got of beating Drew McIntyre one-on-one? This is a Drew that should have won the title, so let's not lose that.
I personally like to think that they're building to like a more dangerous version of like the Miz Maurice, like the next power couple in WWE, where people are learning that Scarlett is someone to be feared as well. Like I'm off the top of my head, I cannot remember a Scarlett match from when she was in Impact. Like I know she was doing stuff in there a couple of years ago, so my memory of her in the ring is not great, but I think if you was to make these two like a proper power couple where like they can't be messed with and they come as a pair, it's fine, but they just have to watch the line of where Scarlett starts to become a bigger character than what Kross is, when I think it's more about Kross than anything else.
It's trying to make a fine balance, isn't it, between the two of them? Like you said, the power couple, the next top level power couple, how you make that happen. The question is, though, when it comes to this match, is the booking going to affect Kross when it comes to the match? Because like you said here, really, if we're looking at it, and Kross has won every match to this point, to make him look strong, he should remain and go and win. But I've got Drew McIntyre to pick up the victory in this match. I feel this could be the start of the slippery slope here. Jonesy, what's your prediction?
Yeah, for me, I think Drew has to win this. This is a chance to get some sort of momentum back. I'm with Steve. This may not be one and done, but it should be done after this. Get Drew to win. Get Kross back to do something else. And let's move forward. Let's get Drew back as a singles wrestler. Let's try and rebuild him. And Kross can go off and do something. Like there's nothing stopping him going to have a feud with somebody else. And yeah, I'll just be glad when this is done. I was into it at the beginning, but as you said, Steve, with the film with Roman Reigns and stuff, when he first came back, I was so excited to see him back. But dropping promos of cryptic hints that go nowhere, we're not even doing that anymore. It's just him coming out and Scarlett with the spray, the fire. You've got all them bells and whistles you've tried to use so far. What more do you have to offer? Does that make sense? What more can you give? Absolutely. What's it going to be next? What's it going to be? Survivor Series, a casket match or something? You know what I mean? How do they go on? If that makes sense after this.
It's been years since I've seen a good Buried Alive match.
That's a good point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Was it spun the wheel at Halloween?
Yes, true. Yeah.
No.
But my prediction, I'm saying Drew McIntyre. I think if anything, this has got to be hard hitting, and they've got to make the most of the fact that it's a normal wrestling match inside the cage. They've got to use it to its full advantage. They've got to be battering each other with the sides of that cage, and they've got to do some serious damage. I don't know if it's wise, but maybe get a little blood going, because do you know what I mean? It might make it a bit more impactful, but it just needs to go down a hell of a lot better than what that strap match did.
Yeah, I mean the strap match might as well have been a wet balloon match because it just didn't go. But it took the air out of the life of the show we watched on the last show. So fingers crossed it will not do that this time.
Can I add one last thing as well with this one?
Yes.
The best thing to come out of this is if Drew loses and this leads to him finally turning heel. This is what he should have done in Cardiff. So I would hope that if he does lose this here, he loses his head, and this would be a great place to turn him heel finally.
Absolutely, indeed. There, KXI said actually the same thing there as you guys did a minute ago. Awful booking. I'm sorry for Kross, but if you need help to beat Mac up Moss, I can never take you seriously again. So I mean, that it is a bit of damage work that's been done here. We need to find a way to get Karrion Kross back on the good graces, and winning clean here would be the way to perhaps do it. Maybe Drew McIntyre, like that was going after the championship a couple of months ago. I think that would make the most sense to do that. But as I say, we've all gone for Drew McIntyre here. Sinead and Wyatt, Scarlett helping Karrion Kross. Now Scarlett didn't help Kross in NXT. She should just be an attraction, not a manager that cheats. I mean, in NXT, everyone was half of his size, so I guess that's probably the reason now he's got people that are actually his size, heavyweights he's going after. For me, I've got no problem with her getting involved, but I just think he shouldn't be every single time. Like we said, a second ago, not against Madcap Moss, against Drew, fair enough, but that she was heavily involved in that last match, and I think that. It just, for me, perhaps too soon as well. Scarlett perhaps could be that dominant one in time. We need to establish Kross first because he's the one that's actually having the matches, as NXT said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that.
Absolutely. We've got reality videos that says lol. I'm hoping that's my Mark Mero joke. C Nation says so Drew McIntyre could beat Karrion Kross by climbing over the steel cage to protect Karrion Kross. That certainly could be a way to do it as well. Yeah, that's a protection. Escape the cage. We've not thought about that idea there.
Maybe a case that he falls off the top of the cage. Do you know what I mean? Just like they're at the top of the cage, they're fighting. He hits Drew. Drew falls off and wins. I really don't want to see one of them go through the cage and the thing falls apart like it has done in previous times. They need to avoid that at all cost. Even escaping through the door work, I suppose, but they just need to make sure that it's done properly.
Certainly, indeed. There. Jonesy, I think this is a match you've said you want to see on streams in the past. Drew McIntyre versus Gunther for the IC title. That was a WrestleMania one you wanted to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, book it. I think it's one that makes sense. Drew, by this point, can be built up. Gunther's incredible. A very hard-hitting European-style match. I think this could be one for the ages. It'll be just up there as good as Sheamus and Gunther, I think.
Be amazing.
It'll be so good.
If not that, for WrestleMania UK pay-per-view next year, absolutely would love to see it go down that way. I will then go to what will be our last match, and then we still have one other topic we'll quickly touch on before we close off the stream. So what would be our main event of the stream, but I think it'll probably kick off the show. Brock Lesnar taking on Bobby Lashley, the rematch after the Royal Rumble. There is no Roman Reigns, there is no Paul Heyman, there is no MVP. It is one-on-one, and I've got to say, I have enjoyed the build-up of this with these two. I enjoyed the idea of how Brock Lesnar returned, confronted Bobby on the season premiere, cost him the United States Championship. We've seen how Lashley wants to try and get revenge. We've seen him going through tables in the first couple of minutes of Raw. We've seen pull-aparts as well, with the whole locker rooms trying to break him apart. Brock even just ignoring the face-to-face sort of interview time, the split screen, what we're supposed to have this past week on Raw to just make sure they have another pull-apart on Raw. For me, I thought this has ticked a lot of the boxes. I think this is kind of what I want to see. Again, I don't think it's going to be the longest match, but I want to see two big dudes slapping meat, throwing each other about. I think this could be a fun 10-minute match. Jonesy, I'll start off with you. What are your thoughts of Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley?
Really excited to see it. I think this is going to be far better than day one, and I also think it'll be better than Royal Rumble. I think this is going to be really, really hard hitting. I just wish it was like an MMA fight or something like that, something legit where there's no disqualification or anything, but look for this to be similar to SummerSlam. I think they'll go all out here, and yeah, I'm really happy to see this match. This feels a huge match. Give WWE credit; they did a fantastic job of keeping Brock's return secret, and this feels huge. Like this, to me, does feel like a main event. Yeah, dream match. I just really hope that it's given time. But their previous meetings have been very smash and grab, haven't they? Like very quickly and stuff. So, I just hope that Bobby Lashley comes out uninjured. That's what I'd say. More importantly, really.
I mean, I would just say quickly that you said the idea of dream match there. It is a dream match, and we felt like we were getting it earlier this year, and it didn't kind of fulfill because we had all these other parts playing involved in it. I feel like we're getting the full dream match this time. There is literally these two should just go out and have the match that we expect them to have. So fingers crossed it's going to be an absolute gem. And Steve, what are your thoughts?
This is a point that proves that you can have these quality matches and not have to have a title involved. This is the point to prove that you can put on these two massive stars, former UFC fighters, and it's like a first time ever. Like this obviously plays into more like Rock, if they're going to do Rock Roman at Mania, that match doesn't need a title. And this is a pure example. It's just going to be hard hitting. It's going to be exciting. Like you said, the build has been fantastic, especially like the stuff on Raw last night where they had to be dragged apart. It's been really exciting to watch, and there's been minimal amount of words, and it's been more actions than anything. But this is going to be a really hard hitting match. Like I said, like you said, Steve, I want to see meat slapping meat.
Absolutely. Two big boys being thrown about. That's what I want to see. And I think with Riyadh as well, they're going to go mad for this match again. This can really feel like a real big fight. This will feel like a WrestleMania to them, I'm pretty sure. But I think it's time we go to our predictions then, Jonesy. What are you feeling with this one? Brock versus Lashley too.
I think Lashley needs the win, really, for me. So I'm going to go Lashley to win. I think he'll take Brock to the limit, and this should hopefully be a way to get Brock off the show for a while. I think more good can come from Lashley winning here. If Lashley does lose, this may be the start of the heel turn that we were alluding to a few weeks ago or months ago that I think is still going to happen.
Absolutely. And it's Steve?
Yeah, I think Lashley's got more to gain if he wins this. But then I suppose if you look at the other way, it's like, how can Brock really recover from it? Like, we know Brock is a beast, but it's like this is the guy that ended the Undertaker's streak. Do you know what I mean? He's got so much to his name, and it's really hard to call. But I think for prediction-wise, I am also going to go Bobby. I think Bobby's going to win. Just going forward, Bobby being on TV more often, I just think plays into it more, and he will benefit more from it, especially if he's to now move away from the US title scene and now back up into the main event scene.
That's the thing. Hopefully, he can go to the main event scene from this. It'd be nice to see. Bobby Lashley has been on a different level, but I'm going to go different to you boys. I'm going for Brock Lesnar to pick up the victory this time. I think that he lost the last time. I think he's going to get his win back here this time, and I think that this will have the rubber match at WrestleMania next year in Los Angeles. That's what I think will go down. And I think, Jonesy, you are right. I've seen the hints of this Bobby Lashley heel turn since you first alluded to it, and I think that a defeat here will actually set the trigger for Lashley to go full on heel going forward. And we could even see why Seth Rollins may have gone small babyface this week, because we could be getting a Rollins-Lashley feud where Lashley is the heel. That's what I reckon could go down.
Definitely, that'd be fun to see.
Would it be worth maybe Bobby Lashley putting the Hurt Business back together with Shelton and
that as well.
Cedric Alexander? I think that's probably a great shout going forward. It gets those two guys back on TV. It's all starting to be more about factions again now in WWE. So I think they've actually rumored, like there was rumors that I think Bobby Lashley actually wants to reform as well.
Get those two and get Carmella Hayes, and then you're really onto something, aren't you? To be honest.
Fantastic. Liking the sound of that. Honestly, just two words for me to say with the idea of the Hurt Business coming back. Printing money, literally, I think it would be an amazing idea. I think that the fact that it's not already been brought back is surprising for me. But yeah, the idea perhaps being realigned with MVP. Perhaps someone should ditch MVP, like in that way MVP can come, like be saved by Lashley or whatever, and they can come calling back together and make the group or whatever. Maybe that could be a fun way to do it. But that's pretty much all the matches for Crown Jewel. But there's one other thing we need to talk about before we go off air. It was announced on Raw last night that Bray Wyatt will be at Crown Jewel. The question is, though, Bray Wyatt will be there, but will Uncle Howdy be there? Jonesy, you're very much into this. I'll start it with you. What have been your thoughts and feelings with the Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy stuff that's been going on? And what do you reckon we'll get on this show? Do you reckon we'll get much? Is it just the idea that Bray Wyatt's going to be in front of a crowd in Riyadh and they'll go crazy?
My thoughts of it, I've really enjoyed it. I think it's been creative. There's a lot of questions, not enough answers, which is good. I like that. I think Bray talking to himself in a mask is a bit problematic for me. I'm not too sure down the line how they're going to pay that off. But I think what it'll just be what they've been doing every single week, which is Bray talking as himself. And then they get these video packages. And it depends. If Bray is going to be in War Games with this Wyatt 6, supposedly, this is somewhere where you're going to need to start that, because we ain't got lots of Survivor Series. So I think officially I'll put that out there now. I don't see Bray in Survivor Series now. Like Bray in the War Games, no. I think that's been dropped. And I just think we're just going to get more teasing, really, more sort of clues and stuff like that. But I have enjoyed Uncle Howdy. I think he's quite creative, but the inner struggle Bray's having himself, I'm interested to see how they pay this off. This isn't gone to the verge of Alexa and Lily. It hasn't gone that bad yet, but I don't have confidence at the moment WWE have got a long-term plan to pay this off. A lot of the stuff they seem to be making up as they go along, almost, to me, it seems.
Interesting. And Steve, what are your thoughts then with Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy?
That's exactly how I feel at the minute. They're kind of just taking it week by week. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to think of the matches on the card. Is there someone that Bray could maybe potentially make his first victim? But do you know what I mean? I couldn't see it be someone like Brock or Bobby Lashley. I'd keep him away from Roman as long as possible. Drew McIntyre, maybe Karrion Kross. And I don't know if he wants to go along the lines of recruiting Karrion Kross as to part of the Wyatt 6. I don't know. It could be something along them lines. But like I said, I'm excited to see what they do, because every week, that music is phenomenal, and it gets me going every time I hear it. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what they're doing with it. But like Jones said, there is a worry that at the minute they haven't got a Scooby, and they're just going week by week and seeing what happens.
I feel that they have a plan, but they're going to really slow burn this. I agree with Jonesy. I don't see the White Six now in Survivor Series. I feel that's far too quick to do it between now and then, unless you reveal all members, but like one night, which for me, I think it's a tragedy. It's a waste. You could really build this over time. I really think that we've heard the rumors that this is going to go all the way to WrestleMania. I wouldn't be surprised if that first match is at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's sensible. You've got time to build it, haven't you? And if it's going to be against an Edge or a Karrion Kross or whoever his first target's going to be, it makes sense. I think for me, give WWE credit. It's great to see them have this big new idea actually on a pay-per-view. When they did Retribution, they weren't even on pay-per-views. So they are learning this. Last thing for me on this one, I think that we're going to get the door again. The door's always there, if that makes sense. It's just a case of how we move on to the next chapter. Like, it's where they go with this and how they slowly unveil the White Six, if that is what's going to happen.
My concerns is that it's a Saudi Arabia crowd, and I don't know if they get the whole aesthetic of Bray Wyatt, because it is a very niche crowd. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of pumped in audio for this, because I just don't feel the crowd will understand what he's about and what's going on. So I think they just have to be very cautious with that. But then I just a complete brain fart, something that comes to my head. He's obviously been talking weeks about you destroyed the world and all this kind of stuff. I'm sitting there thinking, if you're going to go to Mania, why not Cody Rhodes versus Bray Wyatt?
That'd be fun.
Because Cody obviously left. He started a whole new company. Do you know what I mean? He effectively, I don't know. I'm just crazy for shouting.
It's a good idea. It'd be a good match. You can imagine the promos with Cody and the history, the families, all that lot. I think that could be a really good money match. Really, I'd like to see that. I think credits to with Bray though. The good thing about it is they're not giving us all at once, which is what I asked for originally, which I like. I'm just slightly worried that the White Rabbit stuff that I got so involved in was dropped. Like I said, I had a fear of this weeks ago that they'd do all this hype. And the minute it gets started, you drop it. It's like it's all got to start adding up. This is the dangerous stuff. You almost get too convoluted and too complex that you've got no way of explaining stuff. As per the Miz and Dexter Lumis this week, as an example, if that's the way it's going to be. If Bray's got a hand on this could be good though. Let's see what they do with this, and I'm excited to see what they do. We may just get a video although his pose is meant to be there. I wouldn't surprise if they just send over a video package, him backstage and talking.
That could make a lot of sense to do that. I have an idea just very quickly before we wrap things up here today and just get your takes on it, guys. I wondered the idea that Bray Wyatt, obviously the history of being over in Riyadh before, of course he lost to Goldberg. If Uncle Howdy comes on the screen, interrupts and reminds him, because he feels like that's kind of like the devil that's pulling him back and feeding him those demons where he's trying to get away from those. That could be the little hint of the story that could kind of conflict Bray, this clear Bray Wyatt, to whether he needs to go back to the dark side.
I love that. I really like that idea. The only problem I say with Steve is that with Uncle Howdy, do you notice how Bray doesn't even have acknowledgement to what Uncle Howdy interrupting him? It just carries on like normal, which it's almost like Bray's not aware of this Uncle Howdy. It's almost like he can't see the video package. But I love that idea with Goldberg.
Personality disorder or something. Yeah,
it's all to do with mental health, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Goldberg thing I think is a great shout.
That's a great shout, though.
Like everyone that's ever screwed him over in his previous runs, do you know what I mean? Goldberg, Seth Rollins, all these people. These should be the people he's targeting. Now he's back.
Absolutely. Maybe they won't target Goldberg itself, but maybe they'll just say you lost the championship here, like in like a minute and a half or something. Just something just to lay in, because I don't know if Trips will bring Goldberg back, but certainly it's just a fun thought idea anyway.
Really good.
I will quickly give a shout out to Sweet Carl from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. He says the Dynamic Trio is at it again. What's good, fellas? We are doing well. Thank you for checking this out. OTM, I'm sure you've got your predictions online this Thursday, so make sure to go and give them a subscribe. And he says, should I say howdy? Absolutely. It's good to see you say howdy indeed. But that's pretty much all from us anyway. We've covered all the bases there, Crown Jewel. And just to finalize things off, just before we go away, and Steve, I'll ask you first. When we come back to when this show has been and done, and a score out of 10, what do you think it's going to be at the end, looking at it now?
I'm going to go middle of the ballpark. I'm going to say a 5, because there's stuff on here that I think has just been thrown on for the sake of it because it's in Saudi Arabia. But then there is stuff on it that I think can be really good. Like I said, I think half the card's decent. Half the card I'm not expecting a lot from. But then again, I'm always more than happy to be pleasantly surprised with certain more stuff. So I'm going to go down the middle and just say it's just going to be another run-of-the-mill Saudi Arabia show.
Absolutely. Jonesy?
I'm going to go a 7. I think Triple H, every pay-per-view so far since SummerSlam he's delivered. Like, it's been greater than we thought, and there's always been something to talk about coming out of it. So I'm going to go a 7. This is a real good last chance to build something up for Survivor Series. This is the point now where we're back to the days of where the pay-per-views end and we do get that idea of what's coming next. I think they need to do that. I think they need to pay that off and let's get the real wheels going on the way to this War Games match.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think 7 out of 10 as well. I think you're on now on ahead there, Jonesy. I think there are matches to be excited for. There are a couple of matches not to be excited for, but at the same time, I think when you balance it out, like you say, we've got some good storyline narrative with a few of these matches to actually carry over into the War Games environment. Maybe Raw versus SmackDown, just maybe Blood Feuds itself going to Survivor Series. Who would be that sole survivor? But we've got Tusa McCall says he also reckons 7 out of 10. And just so you know, OTM will be at it this Thursday. No problem, anytime on the plug. Anything, guys, you want to add off before we wrap things up?
No, thank you for having me on. It's been really good. Oh, sorry, after you.
No, go on. I was just saying, like, send out thoughts and prayers to Carmella and Corey Graves, because obviously Carmella's had a heartbreak recently with I can't pronounce the word, ectopic pregnancy or whatever it was, plus also suffering a miscarriage. So thoughts and prayers to them two, man, and hopefully they recover soon and it all goes well for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Share those sentiments there. Obviously, thoughts to about them. It's been horrible to read that on socials in the last 24 hours or so. Jonesy, obviously, you're on YouTube for Jonesy Chats Wrestling. For anyone that wants to go and subscribe over there, make sure to go and do so. Also on Twitch as well, and usually be catching on the weekends on the Wrestling Report as well. So make sure to subscribe to Radar for Wrestling for there as well. NXT as well can be found on Jonesy Chats Wrestling from time to time, doing some videos on there. And also, I do kidnap these two and put them on this channel quite a lot as well. So if you're enjoying their content, you can also catch them here. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do like, share, and subscribe to SCW as well. Keep an eye on more videos we'll be dropping on the channel as well. Now, of course, this month is a big one. We've got Crown Jewel, as you've seen here. A review will be coming on Saturday. That's right, the day of the show for once. And of course, as well, we've got Survivor Series coming up. We've got Full Gear coming up. So it's going to be a busy one. So make sure to stay tuned. But thanks everyone for watching. It's been great having everyone watching as always. Without all of you, this is nothing. So really do appreciate all your involvement. But big thanks to NXT, big thanks to Jonesy, and we will see you all next time. Take care, have yourselves a great day, and enjoy Crown Jewel.